Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
See, son, old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum with a lot of life.
Hello, you crazy dirt fucker!
Party time!
Yes, it is party time. Hello, world. Hello, my loyal minions. Hello, Hollywood as well. And hello, Miami. Because by the time you see this, I will still not be on my way to Miami, but we are not live. We are pre-recorded this week. Myself and the great Paul Gargano. Good day.
Hello, Izzy. How are you doing today?
I am. I'm ready, dude. I'm stoked. Rent.
Are you excited to be leaving? Are you excited to be leaving the frigid confines of Los Angeles for more sunny Miami?
I nearly at the same time last night while I was working, I had to drive a gal from North Hollywood to the Staples Center now, which is now some other freaking corporate bullshit name. And I got stuck.
Like crypto? Is it crypto or something now?
What the hell is that? And got stuck in gridlock traffic downtown Los Angeles. And I'm like, look, can I just drop you off in this corner? You'll get there faster if you walk. And she's like, well, where is it? I'm like, well, it's right there. She's like, I'm in heels. I'm like, oh. And I nearly had, after I dropped her off, at the same time, I nearly had a coronary, an aneurysm, and a stroke with ginger rage on top of it. So
yeah, I mean, at this point, everybody who listens to the show knows that your constraint probably isn't your biggest attribute. So I could only imagine what you were going through at that time.
Oh my God! It was just. Well, I waited until.
Have you had your? I do worry about you. Have you had blood pressure checked? I mean, is it
that would constitute going to the doctor.
My God, poor Izzy. Yeah, no, but you know what? I will say you bring it on yourself because you choose to drive around LA all day. So
look, when I first started doing it, I was only driving non-rush hour times. Yeah. And I still like during the summer,
which gives you like a 3 hour window of no traffic.
Right. Exactly. But even to this day, I will not start working until the Dodgers game starts and the Hollywood Bowl starts. Mm-hmm. So I don't get stuck in that shit, which is another reason that pre-taping at this time worked out great because I didn't have to drive before the big NASCAR race today. So
I was actually intrigued by that NASCAR race only because I don't watch NASCAR, but I'm intrigued at what they built inside that stadium as far as infrastructure goes. I'm a little curious, but I'm not a NASCAR guy.
Yeah, me either.
It was definitely interesting to me, but it is, I could just tell you, like, if I have a doctor's appointment, because I do go to doctors, if I have a doctor's appointment or something and I have to leave the house at rush hour, it is a nightmare. So I sympathize for you. I know why you drink more than I do. And I've been blessed. I've literally worked from home for the most part for the last 20 years that I've lived in LA. So I haven't had to deal with traffic like everybody else does. And the city is immeasurably more bearable when you're not dealing with traffic.
Yeah. And until you see your taxes and then try to go to Burger King and end up spending $40 on yourself.
I think our taxes just went up again here too, because we were somewhere last night and it said 10.25% sales tax. Like I was like, you got to be, which I was floored.
Yeah. And gas is skyrocketing again. And this, have you ever noticed that gas skyrockets just as fast as credit scores go down, and gas goes down just as fast as credit scores go up?
It's
like really fast.
you know,
really
the guy I 5.59 I think is just what, like, we just drove by a gas station yesterday. I think it was 5.59 a gallon. It's unbelievable. It's unreal.
It's ridiculous. But let's talk about something fun. Let's first of all,
Wait, paying for gas isn't fun? We're making, you know, everybody that's listening to this is feeling better about themselves because they don't live in LA and pay 5.59 a gallon for gas. So we're actually providing a public service right now.
yeah, absolutely. And it's because we care. It's because we care.
And they're also, and honestly, they're also understanding your ginger rage. I've hit a zen point in my life where I try not to let stuff bother me. And I think I've gotten really good at it because my wife has heard me make AT&T operators cry. I've gotten much better over the past couple of years, and hopefully as our friendship continues to blossom, some of that can rub off on you and your ginger rage dilutes a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe
I definitely still have my moments.
There might be a time in my life where maybe I'll calm down a little bit. But let's first of all, news. You will not be on the Monsters of Rock cruise, unfortunately.
I will not be. No, yeah, there's just too much happening right now, and it was. I mean, honestly, the timing of Metal Edge's launch. Just everything going on with COVID right now threw a little bit of hiccup and stuff. It's just got to be way too much, and I just can't afford to be away from my desk for another week.
No, so absolutely.
But I will be there in spirit. I was actually been working on my first vinyl column for the magazine. I'm going to be doing a weekly vinyl column. Yeah. So it's going to be where I I recommend 4 albums to people, and it's always themed. Things we have available in our store, like cool stuff. And the first one, I actually write about Alice Cooper and one of the Alice records. And it is heartbreaking to me that I can't be there to see the Alice show, because it just more than anything, most of these bands, one of the great things about living, we can pick on LA all we want, but one of the great things about living here is everybody cycles through the whiskey at one point or another, and I see all these bands, and a lot of those bands live here also, but I was looking so forward to seeing Alice Cooper. And it sucks, so I'm gonna have to catch one of those dates, and one of those dates coming up somewhere else. But it's also, I haven't been on a Monsters of Rock yet. I've been on so many cruises. I've never been on a Monsters of Rock cruise. So it's going to have to be set up just next year. It's going to have to happen.
Yep. And but that also means, since Paul will not be on the boat, there will not be a Metal Edge taping. There may be an Izzy Presley show if there's time. We'll see. Yeah. I even had a backup for you just in case. Don Jameson said he would fill in. But now maybe me and Don do the Izzy Presley show. We'll see what happens if there is time, because our schedules, my schedule is going to be packed. I have so much stuff going on, but yeah.
Well, and I think that's from a work perspective. I don't think people realize that, because I can't tell you how many people are still talking about, oh, you must have had so much fun on Shiprocked. And, we do have fun. It's, as I always say, like my worst day at work, I still love what I do. It's a lot of work though. And I don't think people realize how much work goes into being on those ships when you're not just there to have fun, drink, eat, and watch bands. It's exactly. And that's my biggest issue looking at this. I have a drowning pool. Drowning pool is going out in March. I've got a tour I'm about to announce with Kurt Deimer, Metal Edge. I've got just obligations with them. It's just, I can't be on a ship 5 days without everything else slipping a little bit. So it just doesn't make sense right now. And you've got so much. I look at your schedule and I'm astounded. Between you're doing the stand-up thing. I also wish I could see that, because I've never seen you do stand-up. That's actually, that and Alice Cooper are the two things, because you and Kip Winger, I will, spoiler alert, Kip Winger I actually write about in that first column also. You and Kip Winger doing stand-up sounds very enticing to me.
And but we're doing that show twice, and so we have a different musician that says he probably is going to do it, which means he's going to do it, and that is Chad Stewart from Faster Pussycat.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he has done it. Wow. He has done the show before in Hollywood here, so we still have his jokes, so we're going to tweak him a little bit. Update him a little bit, and it looks like he is going to be in for the second show, so that is going to be great.
I could actually, Chad Stewart, I could see doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
I could actually see that. Yeah, I could picture that one. I could see that.
We thought about Danny, but Danny
might.
Danny would be hilarious, but there would like, okay, here's your jokes, and he would look at a sheet and go, Chad Stewart has AIDS. That would be his.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're gonna be looking at a completely different,
which would be hilarious. So
but
yeah,
but this is, I'm excited about today's guest because
I am too.
She is, it's interesting. She was on Shiprocked, and she's also going to be on Monsters of Rock. So it's a great. We have a nice little bridge here between the two cruises. But it's great. And I didn't realize you've never had her on the show before either.
No, I've asked a few times, and it's just never happened. But thanks to the.
You know what? That's why you got me now, Izzy.
Yep. I don't like him. I like his Rolodex.
You like that people respond to me. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this obviously we just taped the interview, so I'm not gonna kayfabe this thing. But that's for all you wrestling geeks out there. But great conversation.
And we do get into wrestling.
Deep into wrestling.
We do get into wrestling. Yeah.
Deep into wrestling. Yeah.
I know it was a lot of fun. It was a great interview. I don't even think of it as an interview because it was just such a really just smooth conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's what I think all of these are, just conversations. I don't look at them as interviews, because you know what I had written down for this? Dead Inside, David Draymond. That's all I had written down.
And I think you spelled Draymond wrong if I looked at that quickly enough. Hold that up again. I
put men at the end of it.
Oh, okay. Yep. I thought Draymond. Yeah. But you want to say I have no notes on it at all. So that's I usually do notes when I go into these things. If I know the people, it's easy. But yeah. No, but Nita's awesome. And you know what? I never actually said this during the interview, but Josh texted me back and he got his pizza.
Oh, very well. Very nice.
So that was when, as everybody listens, when that comes up, they're going to know what we're talking about.
And
Josh
you realize
back, he got his pizza.
You do realize now that I have to go get pizza. I've lost 8 pounds already. I've lost 8 pounds getting ready for this cruise just by cutting out pop and cutting out Red Bull and only drinking water and coffee with a little bit of heavy cream in the coffee, and pretty much going carb free and sugar free. But I have my moments.
I'm down. My wife happens to be in the room, so I might see 10 fly up from her when I say this, but I'm down 12 pounds from getting off Shiprocked. That's how quickly I can lose it when it goes on. I'm down 12 pounds from getting off Shiprocked. Rika just said bragger. I went on heavier than I like to be, and I put on several pounds on it, and I took it all off already too. It's so bizarre how quickly that got. But I think a lot of that was actually, I think most of the weight I put on, because I ate less on the cruise than I normally do, I think most of what I put on was drinking weight from beer, because I drank more beer. So a lot of that's water weight, and it just, as soon as I stopped drinking, it came off again.
You know what I found, and I did this a couple of years ago, to control my cankles, other than my old man compression socks. So I get cankles on.
I swear to God, I fell asleep the other night thinking about your compression socks. That has probably, of all the things you've said, I don't think anything in the year we've been doing this podcast together, I don't think anything has shocked me as much as me saying, Izzy, what's one thing that you always have to pack for blah, 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 and you saying compression socks?
Yep.
I was just
important. But what I found is, if you cut back on the sugars and grains, which is easy to do at the buffet, you just go for the meat. I was able to control my cankles with cutting back on the carbs and the sugars, because your body turns carb into sugar, and basically that's inflammatory. So
absolutely. Winter is typically, once the spring hits, which I know sounds counterintuitive here in LA because we never really have winter, but I'm seasonal with grilling. Like once spring hits, my carbs are so limited in spring and summer that usually winter I go through a carb phase. It's just because we don't have winter here, but it gets chilly by our standards. And you want pasta, you want pizza, you want that feel good food.
I always want that. I'm fat. I always want that. But before we get into the Nita interview, if you guys do subscribe on the YouTube page, you will see episode 1 of the Izzy Presley show is up there as well. And we had Brian Forsyth from Kicks, who is full blown no sugar, no grain. And you always see him posting pictures of steaks and stuff like that and duck eggs. And the main guest was Vinny Tortorich, who is the no sugar, no grain guy. Everybody knows him from the Adam Carolla show. He's had a podcast for 7 years, maybe 10 years, called Fitness Confidential. Mm-hmm. And he's got a book out, yada, yada, yada. But he's got documentaries out now called Fat. And it's basically about the no sugar, no grain lifestyle and what we've been told and what we've been taught and how wrong it is and blah, 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 blah. And the latest one is called Beyond Impossible. And it's about the fake meat industry and what we've been lied to about that. I say, go watch it, but you really want to dive into that no sugar, no grain health stuff. Watch that. It is very, very interesting. So
what is it one more time?
The new movie, it's called Beyond Impossible. You can find it on iTunes and on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime and
Amazon Prime. Okay. It's interesting because the Beyond Burgers, I'm not a big fan of the Impossible. The Beyond Burgers don't taste bad, but if you break down, and I'm very health conscious, I don't work out at all. So the fact that some people tell me, but some people will be like, oh, you look great. Some people, but it's like, I don't work out at all. So I'm very conscious about what goes into my mouth and how much, what I drink and everything. And I drink a lot, but I'm very conscious about what I drink because it adds up. And it's crazy. The Beyond Burgers taste really good to me. Like they are as close to as growing up that Burger King Whopper, like that, but the Beyond Burger tastes like that. But if you put the nutritional aspects of it next to a regular hamburger, it's not better for you. I mean, what you're gaining in one spot, you're losing in 3 other spots. And it's just like, I've always just prescribed to balance, just a balanced. And the older I get, it's less sugar, but I don't cut it out immediately at all. But I'm not gonna lie, I binged on licorice the other day, but it was like, it's few and far between. I mean, it's just I just try to practice restraint and everything, and hopefully it works. But
it's got to
be done. We're old.
So check that movie out and check that interview out. And Dawson sat in with us on that one too, because he has a relationship with Vinny as well. So what do you say we dive into this?
Let's dive right into this.
All right. So coming up right after this 5-second intermission sound break, we'll be right back. Nita Strauss.
With Nita Strauss.
What was that shit we used in the 80s, Izzy? That kept what was it called? It was the yellow and black bottle. You're too young to know about this, Nita. It kept the wisps when you had long hair. It would keep the wisps down and kept your hair all straight.
Yeah, it was called Aquanet, and lots of it.
No, I'm gonna have to ask Rika when she gets home. There was something. It was it was a conditioning liquid that kept the wisps down.
I don't know, but I need that too because I'm looking at my hair and it's like a mess.
Yeah.
So find out. Ask Rika and tell me.
All right. Okay. Well.
All right.
I think we're good.
And Paul, you realize I'm going to leave that whole hair conversation in this. And we are back and welcoming for the first time to this show, somebody that I've known for a long time, but the first time that she's been on, and Paul's known for a long time as well, from the Alice Cooper Band, Nita Strauss. Good day.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Let's start off with the single "Dead Inside," which is doing very, very well. How did David Drainman become involved with this?
So it was actually through my boyfriend Josh, who's also been managing me for the past 7 years or so. And when we were in Nashville working on the record, he was, we were listening through the songs, listening through this one in particular, and he was the first one to say, "This is a David Drainman song. Like this, we need to get this to David because it just seems like tailor-made for him." And he's known David for a very long time. He sent the song over, and thankfully David vibed with it immediately. It was so cool, so organic. You know, there was no like, you know, million writers needed, million people pinching and turning and fixing and adjusting. Like, you know, David just came in, knocked it out of the park. I loved his idea right off the bat. He didn't make any changes to what I did. I didn't make any changes to what he did. Just collaborative in the best sense of the word.
And
That's
is
it.
this, oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, I was gonna say, is it the whole band also? Because when it says David Draymond and Disturbed. Is the band on there also?
No, it's just David.
Okay.
It's just David and myself.
Okay.
And is
Yeah.
this is the first solo thing you've done with vocals on it, correct? Or am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
It was all.
That's fantastic.
Why did it take so long for that?
Because honestly, I didn't really imagine it happening at all. I wasn't planning on ever doing a solo record that wasn't an instrumental shred thing. The instrumental shred is kind of my passion. That's what I've always wanted to do. And it wasn't really what I set out to do, you know, doing radio stuff. I wanted to kind of stay true to my identity as a guitar player and just make guitar music. But then as I grew a little bit as a songwriter, as I grew a little bit as a songwriter, it just made sense to sort of evolve a little bit more musically and branch out and try different things, get in front of a new audience, you know, obviously a much larger audience than I would have ever just doing instrumental guitar music. So,
Right.
and it's fun, you know, it's not necessarily what I initially thought I would do when I set out as a solo artist, but like I'm learning so much, I'm having such a great time. We're now getting added to, you know, these big festivals and big, you know, getting bigger tour offers and stuff. So it's a fun journey to be on for sure.
Do you see a day when you're going to step behind the mic?
Absolutely not. Because I want people to like it. Like, why would I'm not a very good singer. Why am I going to sing when I know I'm not that good? You know?
Neither am I, but I put out a single. Anybody can do it.
But did yours go number one? Because mine did, and I didn't.
No.
Izzy,
Touche.
maybe if you didn't sing, yours would go number one, Izzy.
Yeah, there you go. That's getting a Pat Fontaine laugh,
That's
by the
my
way.
thought on it for myself, though. It's like, you know, like I'm a reasonably okay guitar player, and I really enjoy playing guitar. You know, like, and I know I'm not a great singer. And if I put out something singing just for people to then tell me I'm not any good, that's just going to be frustrating. You know, like, why am I going to do something that I don't particularly enjoy, that I'm not particularly good at, when I have this amazing opportunity to work with so many different vocalists? You know, I play in a band with one of the greatest frontmen and vocalists of all time. As a solo artist without a singer, I kind of have my pick and choose of what great singers I can work with. You know, I have several other guest vocalists that are not yet announced yet collaborating with me on this upcoming record. You know, like, why am I gonna step in front of all of that and say, you know what, my ego needs me to do all the things? Like, I don't need to do all the things. I'll play the guitar.
Yeah. Right. Well, then you just hold up a picture of Bob Dylan and go, all 10 middle fingers.
Yeah, that's a really good attitude too, because a lot of people don't have that attitude. And you're absolutely right, because in today's day and age, people will be like, oh my God, she can't sing. Why is she doing this? Because everybody's an expert. Everybody knows.
Yeah, right.
I'm ripped apart enough for stuff that I stand behind and I already really love. I don't need to get ripped apart for something I already know that I'm not great at.
How hard is that today? Because I always, you know, just having this conversation with somebody last night about like growing up, and you're younger than us. We're a little older than you, but like growing up in the 70s and 80s, you know, you didn't live under the microscope you lived under today with social media and everybody just having an opinion about everything. And is it hard reading that stuff a lot and hearing that stuff? Because everybody, I mean, people are just vicious.
Of course. Yeah, it's hard and it's hurtful, you know, and that's why by and large, I just kind of try to stay away from it, because I don't have as thick of a skin as I'd like to in this industry. You know, even, you know, I'm 35 now. I've been touring professionally since I was 15. So 20 years I've been doing this, and I still don't think I've developed enough of a thick skin to survive if I read everything everybody says about me. Yeah. You know, and the hardest stuff is the stuff that I know isn't true. You know, if someone says, oh, you know, I met her at this show and she was a bitch to me or whatever, it's like, I really don't think that happened. So like, you know, I've always made, you know, like there's little things like that. Like I've always made a very conscious effort that no matter how bad of a day I'm having, like I try to always be courteous and friendly to people, as you know. So if someone says, oh, I snapped at a stagehand while they were loading, like I really don't think I did.
Yeah.
But Just stuff that, people just make stuff up. I got into it with somebody on my Facebook the other day saying that Alice had ranted at the audience and told the audience in the crowd that he was just in it for the money and he didn't care about them. And I wrote back to this lady. I said, I'll give you $1,000 right now if you have a video of that happening, because I know he would never. He would never in a million bajillion years. First of all, Alice doesn't even talk to the audience, at all. So much less rant at them. This guy's not in it for the money at all. He doesn't need to do this. He does it because he loves it. So people just love to make stuff up and get some attention on social media. And she got my attention. She did it. It works sometimes.
Is it hard? Oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just gonna say, it's also crazy because all these experts that know everything don't know anything, which is the next problem. I mean, just like on Shiprocked with the when the Stowaways was going on, people didn't even realize who they were watching on stage, and they're like, "Oh, Corey Taylor sounds like shit." That's not Corey Taylor. So I don't know. It's like, come on, dude, you don't even know, you can't even see 20 feet away.
I had that happen recently. I was sort of misquoted in a headline which caused this not a misquote, it's a partial quote, which turned into a whole nother thing. And then I saw Orianthi recently, someone giving her a hard time. Well, didn't you just say this? And I was chuckling. I was like, it was me. But you didn't know that.
Is it hard for you to not respond? Because we see Wolfie out there, with all 10 middle fingers blazing, going, "Hey, fuck you, deal with it."
Yeah.
But not everybody can do that. Is it hard for you to hold back?
Wolfie is my hero. Wolfie is the hero we all need, because I can't do it. I don't have the mental capacity to argue with people all day and then do all my gigs. I have so much on my plate right now, between my solo stuff and the record being mixed and Alice tour happening and the Alice record, being finished, and so many things on my plate. I do have a rule for myself, and I break it from time to time. I did go in on that lady, tell her I'd give her $1,000 for proof. But every once in a while I slip up. But I do have a general rule for myself that I keep my personal social media presence 100% positive, and I don't complain about stuff. I don't dig in on people. I don't respond to negativity. I respond to positive stuff. If people enjoyed the show, I'll say thank you. If people have questions about my equipment, I'll answer. I'm happy to talk gear or whatever else. If someone just wants to come on and whine and complain, I don't block or anything. People are allowed to express themselves, say whatever they want. I just try to only respond to the positive stuff.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to drop 9 p.m. tonight, California time, midnight Monday, and we're pre-recording because I'll be in transit to Miami for the Monsters of Rock cruise. You, of course, are a Monsters of Rock cruise veteran. That's how we met when you were playing with Femme Fatale. I think it was the first year, second year. I can't remember what it was. When's the last time that you were on the boat? It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been since 2014, since I was on Monsters.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That was my last one. And then 15, I did Rock Legends with Alice. And then I took a little boat hiatus until this year. Did Shiprocked, of course, and then now back out on Monsters.
Yeah.
So you got 2 and 3 weeks for this year. That's you're making up for lost time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's kind of convenient because I just stayed packed. I went straight out from that. I did my solo tour, finished my solo tour with that, went straight into Alice, now finishing the Alice tour with another cruise. So I'm just have this odd combination of clothes in my suitcase because winter everywhere else. So I've got snow jackets, long johns, long sleeve thermal shirts, my Rams jersey, and a bunch of swimsuits and sundresses.
That's actually funny because I was going to go on Monsters. I'm not going on Monsters now. And it was interesting because I have to be in Connecticut a couple days after for one of my artists. And I was looking and my wife was like, "Oh, just stay packed, go straight from the cruise." And I'm like, I can't go to Connecticut where it's blizzard conditions with shorts and t-shirts. No.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather fly back to LA and then just crisscross so I have the right clothes.
Yeah, it's a very, I'm looking at my suitcase now. It's a very odd mix.
And I'm sure speaking of swimsuits, I'm sure you have this blocked out of your memory. The green mankini.
No one has successfully blocked that out.
Because a lot of people watching or listening to this may not know that the first year I did that was 2014. That was probably the last time that you were on the boat, and I did it poolside, and you guys, Femme Fatale was actually on the pool stage when I did it, but then Lorraine had me come up during your show, and I think it was you and Courtney ripped the robe off of me to do it. So there I am dancing with a duct tape tambourine.
I must have blocked that part out.
Yeah. And I
would like got sober about 6 months after that. So that was a bit of a hazy time for me. This time would be
right.
I also want to know that it's probably no coincidence that she hasn't been on a Monsters of Rock since.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That was enough.
They're like, no monsters. She's tapping out.
Right.
Well, speaking of my friend Orianthi, she's doing Rock Legends this same week that we're going out on Monsters, and I saw all the people saying, well, why don't you just do your set in a bikini and then everybody will come? And I responded back to one of those tweets and I said, why don't all the dudes do their sets in the mankinis and then we will consider doing our set in a bikini? And nobody liked my idea.
You called down the thunder and now you got it. I'm kidding.
You think that's a good idea until Izzy and 20 guys with bodies not as good as his are in speedos in front of you. Yeah, then
at that point I'll pay up. Do the tape. Like, I'm ready. I'm happy to. I just want there to be some give and take.
Yeah, right. Just also keep this in your head for the cruise. If you get the urge to jam some Cheap Trick, there will be 3 guitar rigs up there during the cruiser jam. So,
fun.
So you're more than welcome just to show up. Paul, what did you have? You were gonna say something.
I'll send Ryan.
Oh, no.
Ryan's our Cheap Trick guy.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, whatever.
Guy. That's all. No, I just wanted to jump in on some Alice stuff because it was crazy. I've been writing. Alice is in. I just wrote something about Alice for Metal Edge, which will either be this week or next week. It'll go live. But it was remarkable to me. I was writing about the greatest hits vinyl, the greatest hits record. Alice Cooper had a greatest hits record that came out in 1974. So I personally was 3 years old when that came out, and I was like trying to put like just these little landmarks together. Like, okay, I was 3 years old. How old was Rob Zombie? How old was Marilyn Manson? Like all these people that were influenced by Alice. And you're 15 years younger than me, so you were like not even a twinkle in anybody's eye yet when that greatest hits record came out. I mean, what's it like? It's so crazy. Like you forget. And then I looked up Trash, and I think you were 3 years old when Trash came out. It was like literally like somewhere around there. It was like, I mean, what's it like playing with somebody who has that legacy? Because even you forget that he's been doing this for 50 years, and he's one of the greatest legends in our business. And you're up there every night playing these songs. They're part of our cultural institution.
Yeah, he really is. And the coolest thing about that is how down to earth Alice is. Like how down to earth, how humble, how appreciative he is of the people that get him where he is today. You'll never see this guy not stop for a photo. You'll never see him not shake someone's hand. He's just the most gracious person. And this guy, like you said, he's been at the top of the game, one of the biggest our industry for over half of a century. I mean, I don't know if anyone else can say that except maybe the Rolling Stones. Who else can say that they've been at this level for over 50 years? Like, I really feel like hardly anybody, and he is just like, he's so present all the time. He's so with it all the time. His health is amazing. We just celebrated his 74th birthday on stage 2 nights ago. And we said, he took the mic back at the end when everybody was cheering. He said, I only have one thing to say, and that is the word retirement is not in my vocabulary.
Wow.
that's your
Yeah.
birthday speech? Like,
Yeah.
what a, you know, like, that's what you have to say at 74. You know, you see people that are 74 out and about, you know, taking their daily walk around the block or whatever. And then you see Alice Cooper, you know, kicking ass around the world,
Yeah.
you know, 10 months a year touring. It's inspiring for me, for sure. Inspiring for all of us.
You mentioned that you got sober 6 months after that cruise. Do you think any of the success now would have been remotely possible if that had not happened?
Oh, switching gears.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll get back to Alice too, but I mean, this kind of works into the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. I think that while I already had the Alice gig, I already, you know, was on a very cool trajectory before getting sober. But I don't think I might not have survived it to get to this point.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't physically and mentally where I needed to be to function at the level that I'm functioning at now. You know, to write the kind of music I'm writing and play it, you know, that my solo stuff's hard, you know, like I don't think I would be able to play it night after night. You know, we do 10, 12 shows in a row on my solo tour. You know, we don't take a lot of days off because there are no singers. So I'm functioning at a much higher level now than I could have if I was still drinking and partying the way that I used to.
I think that goes on. It's probably a huge testament to how Alice has done it as long as he has too, because he was never, he's just never been one that lived that lifestyle either. And I think that makes it a lot easier because your body can actually be younger.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you look at old pictures and videos of Alice from before his sobriety, and then you look at him now, like he looks younger now. I think he's 35 years sober or something now, you know, and he looks younger now than he did then. He even said it, you know, we do our little pre-show huddle before every show. We all put our hands in and Alice takes cane on top. And I made a joke and I said, you know, happy birthday, Coop. I was like, what is it, 39? You know, and he laughed. He said, I feel better at 74 than I did at 34, which a lot, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's an amazing because you talk about how young he looks, but as much golf as he plays, the stress that is involved with that game, you think that would age you like that?
He plays every day. I'm not joking. He plays 9 on show days. He plays 18 on days off. I think he's at the golf course right now.
Of course. Well, speaking of the cruise and Alice, he had talked about how on the cruise it's going to be more of a stripped down show. Are you excited about that? To not have the full production and kind of just do it as a bar band kind of thing?
You know, it's always fun for us to do both. You know, for me, I'm a pretty theatrical performer, so I have fun, you know, with the big show. I have fun with the club show. You know, anything that we get to do is fun. You know, we'll bring it super hard. And I think it's a good challenge for us as a band to not have, you know, the castle and, you know, the stairs and all this dramatic stuff. You know, let us just go be a great band. So we're excited about it. We're going to throw some stuff in the set you guys haven't heard in a while, which is really, really fun. We've been going over that during sound checks on this tour and it's sounding really, really tight. So I think you guys are going to have fun.
That's awesome. That's the one I'm really upset I'm missing is your show.
Well, I'll give you a little preview of the set list so you can be even more angry.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
So I'm so sorry, guys. Give me 1 second.
No, you're good. I'll take this time to let everybody know that I'm going to find the video. There actually is video of that appearance with Femme Fatale on stage. I'm going to find it and put it at the end of the show.
So for those people that aren't smart enough to figure this out on their own, don't listen all the way to the end. Don't watch all the way to the end. or I've had 6 eye surgeries. I don't need 7. I'm not burning my retinas anymore.
If I had the time and ability, I could actually superimpose it while we were talking about it, but that's way beyond my pay grade.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't even. I've only seen the still photo, and that's enough for me. I'm just
yeah, but on stage with Femme Fatale it was pretty hilarious and awesome.
Well, I could probably return the favor because I was a competitive swimmer for most of my childhood into college. So there's plenty of pictures of me in a Speedo around there that just the world never needs to see again too. So if we're gonna go there.
Right. Nita, you're muted, by the way. There we go. There we go.
Sorry.
There we go.
Josh, my boyfriend, and I have a little tradition on Sundays where we will order each other food, and he'll send it to my hotel and I'll send it to the house. So his pizza is outside.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you know what you're getting, or is it a surprise?
He knows this time. And then he was ordering food for me as we started our call, so I don't know what I'm getting.
Oh, you don't know what you're getting. Okay.
Yes.
I like that.
So I'm excited.
That's a little, that would be stressful for me, because I would always, if I didn't consult with Rika first, I would be getting her something she didn't want. She's like,
that's
I had that.
No, that's like every time he's like, just tell me exactly what you want and where you want it from, and I'll order it. So I got off the hook this time because you guys were ready for me. So I'm actually kind of excited for my surprise.
Oh, complete surprise.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Usually, like, I don't know where you are. I don't know what you want to eat. Just tell me what your hotel address is and what you want from near there, and that's what I'll get you.
Nice.
But for
that's
me,
actually, that's a cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you,
I'm like
you usually eat at the same time?
I know what he wants from every restaurant, and if I don't have it written down, I can figure it out because I know like his likes and dislikes. So like, I have his usual orders on a little note in my phone, so I can just go, oh, he wants this place, he likes this steak, this prepared this way or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's the place that I don't have written down, I can usually figure it out. I could just consult my notes, figure it out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got this. Well, one of the things we talk. What?
I just said this time it's pizza though.
It's pizza. I can't. I'm glad to see someone in shape like you eats pizza. It makes me feel better about the fact that I ended every night on Shiprock with a pizza at 5 a.m. I can go, hey, wait.
Oh, I did too.
It takes too
much work in the gym. I'm not looking forward to having that again. The problem with those cruises is just too easy to eat bad. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one of the things we talked about when we sat down on Shiprock for a few minutes was like what Alice Cooper songs you enjoy playing. And I know there's a different audience here than there is that's going to be reading that. What doesn't have to be the same songs, but what are some of the songs you really like playing from that Alice catalog? Because man, there's just so much there. Like, I'm
so sorry, they keep calling me back again. I don't think Josh knows that they're out there. I'll just text him. They're gonna keep calling me if I don't text him.
I'll text Josh. I'll text him while we're. Want me to text him? All right.
Oh, there you go.
I'll answer your question.
Hey, your pizza's outside.
Pizza's outside. Go get it so we can keep doing our podcast. All right, you guys. Favorite Alice songs to play live for me. I always have a great time with 80s Alice because that's kind of in my wheelhouse, and I know that's kind of in the metal edge wheelhouse as well.
Yeah.
Kane Roberts era, Raise Your Fist and Yell, and the stuff from Trash too. So much fun to play. And again, there's no, as we talked about on the cruise, there's no unfun Alice song. You have classics, you have $1 Billion Babies, 18, Poison, School's Out, you have the mega hits, and those are always the crowd pleasers because the crowd is, it's always going to be 75-80% casual fans. But then the reaction of the non-diehards, the reaction of the diehards to songs like Roses on White Lace or World Needs Guts or Bed of Nails or Teenage Frankenstein, like that kind of more shred stuff that we're playing has been really, really fun.
If you wanted to call Ibanez at all and go, hey, can I get a machine gun guitar?
Machine gun. Yeah.
For the covered stuff and maybe, like a muscle bodysuit at the same time.
Listen, okay.
But he had that Rambo look, you know what I mean? I won't say you're not buff, but I mean he was
Yeah, but you're not Manowar.
No. And you know what's crazy? Kane is still so jacked. Like I have done Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp with him a couple times and he is still so jacked. It's wild to see like how incredible shape that guy is still in. It would be really funny if I did that with Ibanez because like they're always, they know that my aesthetic is like kind of like sleek, clean, modern, balanced, and they'd be like, wow, this is the exact opposite of everything you've ever seen wanted.
So how did the guitar deal come up? And I mean, that had to be a huge thing for you. I mean, that's like, as a guitar player, that's your dream, to have your own signature guitar, you know?
It is, yeah. Well, I was with Ibanez since 2008, so it was actually 10 years as an Ibanez artist before I had a signature series. So I definitely paid my dues with them as a company. A signature model is not something they hand out to a lot of guitar players. It's kind of wild actually thinking about it, because you see a lot of companies that do signature models for a ton of different players, which I think is amazing, because it's the best feeling in the world to get to design your dream guitar and bring it to life. But to look at the Ibanez roster and see, 15, 20 players, instead of like, dozens and dozens, it just makes it a little bit more special, to really have earned it, to rise up the ranks with the company, and then be the first female to have a signature series. And now the first of three, Larry Basilio and Yvette Young have signature series now with Ibanez. And it's exciting, there were so many great female players that paved the road for me to get to where I'm at. And now to be a part of continuing to pave that road for more female players is really, really exciting.
Do you feel, I don't want to say a burden, because that sounds negative, but do you feel the stress of being like at the forefront of the female players today? Does that place stress on you, or is it something that's more exciting than anything else, where it's like, you're literally one of the ones that, girls are looking up to as one of the top guitar players today? I mean, it's pretty amazing. Girls and guys for that matter, but like girls are getting into guitar because of you, and that's pretty remarkable to think about.
It is wild to think about. It's like the best word that I've found to kind of characterize it is responsibility. Like I wouldn't necessarily that I feel a burden, because like you said, it's not a negative thing, but I do feel a very strong sense of responsibility towards the next generation of female guitar players, and guitar players in general, of course. But I feel like our industry has had a really negative view of how women are treated for a really long time. And now so many things are changing, like when I was growing up, when I was a teenager trying to make a name for myself, just like kicking and screaming at people that weren't taking women in music seriously. And now it's so normal to be a girl in a band. Like it's not weird anymore. There's so many, female guitar players, female drummers, always been a lot of female vocalists, great female bass players. Like it's just so normal to be a girl carrying a gig bag into the gig and not having anyone think you're carrying your boyfriend's stuff anymore. And with that comes that responsibility of making sure that there are good role models in every aspect of our industry, so like I do want to be that person that parents can have their young kids look up to, if they want somebody that will kind of stay on a straight path, and I will be sober, I'll be faithful, I'll be like that kind of cool, good role model to be like, yeah, women can be in our industry. You don't have to be, you can party as hard and as crazy as you want, and you can take the top off and be as wild and as out of control as you want, and nobody in our business will judge you for it, because that's what rock and metal is all about, is being yourself, authentically expressing yourself. And if you don't want to do that, there's somebody out there for you too. And maybe that person's me. I don't know.
Right.
But just making sure that there is a role model for those young girls to look up to if that's what they're looking for.
Well, it's funny. And you talk about the female role model thing, and I have to grab this prop because
I thought it was going to be the mankini.
No. I sold that for $530.
I always get scared when Izzy says he has to grab a prop, by the way.
But speaking of female,
is that the Winged Eagle belt?
This is the Winged Eagle. You've obviously been a wrestling fan for a long time, and wrestling now, the female side of wrestling is really coming to the forefront, and you are sometimes a part of the WWE playing guitar and doing stuff like that. As a wrestling geek, how did that feel when you got that call?
So actually, Josh is the one that turned me on to wrestling. I did not watch.
Oh, so you were, okay. Well, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. So no, not at all. You would have no reason to know that. But like, so I actually grew up in a household that I did not have TV growing up. I didn't watch any TV, any movies, like any pop culture. So wrestling was not at all a part of my vocabulary. And then when I started dating Josh, you know, when you start dating somebody new, you start finding out about their interests and things that you have in common and things that, you know, that the other person likes that you don't know about. So, you know, for Josh, when we started dating, like we're both super into football, we're both super into MMA, UFC, that kind of stuff. And then one day he said he wanted to watch WrestleMania. And I was like, WrestleMania? Like, you know, like I didn't know anything. I was like, this is like, I really thought it was like for kids.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want to watch WrestleMania. So I go, okay, well, I really like this guy, you know, like his interests are important to me. Let me see what this is all about. So we go over to a friend's house and we watch WrestleMania, and I hated it. Like, I thought it was so dumb. This is WrestleMania in 2015. And so Izzy, if you remember, it was broad daylight out in San Francisco at the stadium there. Sting came back in broad daylight. Everybody was freaking out. And I was like, who the fuck cares? Like, you know, like this guy, this goofy makeup, you know, like, and I had no backstory. I didn't know who anybody was, you know, and I was like, okay, well, this is silly, you know. And then I think it was a whole another year until the following WrestleMania, until we watched wrestling again. And or maybe it was a little later in the year. Maybe it was Survivor Series or something, or SummerSlam. And he goes, I want to watch this pay-per-view. And you know, our friend who we had watched at the house before wasn't watching it. Like, he wasn't home. I go, well, look, let's just watch it here in the WWE network at the time, which no longer exists, of course, which is very sad. They had this free month trial going on where you can cancel at any time. You put your card down and then you can cancel before the 30 days. I go, okay, well, just get the app. I'll put my card down. We'll cancel. We'll watch your thing and be done. And then, of course, they took my money immediately and didn't refund it. And I'm like, well, now I paid for 30 days of this thing. So, like, show me some wrestling. Like, again, like I'm really into this guy. Like, I want to know about what he likes. Like, I want to know about interests. So he put on this the series they did about the Monday Night Wars.
Oh, nice.
And it was so well done. If you guys haven't seen, I'm sure you have, like, anybody watching this series, it's on Peacock now. It's so good. And
no, I haven't seen it at all.
I haven't seen it. So I think it's like 8 parts or something. It's really long. It's really in depth. And by the end of that series, I got it. I totally got it. And then I was like, okay, what else? Like, what else you got? Like, show me some more stuff. And then we started going back and watching all the old Raws and the old Nitros and, like, getting the storylines and all the pay-per-views. And then, you know, seeing him get so excited got me excited. And then we started watching the current products, you know, at the time, 2016, 17. And this is right at the beginning of the women's evolution, you know, with Sasha and Becky and Bailey, like all these incredible female wrestlers coming up and kind of doing what I was trying to do in music and saying, like, hey, before you had the Divas Championship, now you have the Women's Championship, you know, and not, you know, women in lingerie wrestling for a condom on a stick, you know, like this is, you know, real badass, beautiful, sexy, strong athletes kicking ass in their field. And I just related to it so hard because I'm like, man, that's like what they're doing is what I want to do. Like, I want to be a powerful, sexy, strong woman that doesn't have to be objectified to still be sexy, you know, and so I was just so about it and so into it. And then when the opportunity came to play at WrestleMania, you know, Josh had that vision for months that he goes, this is what we're going to do. This is what's going to happen. We didn't have any you know, there was no connect at WWE. It was like, yeah, she can play, you know, like he really like willed that into existence. So much so that we actually had already bought our flights and had planned to stay at his family house in New Orleans. Cause he's like, we have to be there. This is like 10 days out. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna, how are they gonna have me play now? You know? And he really like, he willed that into happening. And it was the beginning of a great relationship with WWE. They've since used one of my songs for the theme song for NXT TakeOver. I got to play Evolution, which is the first all-female pay-per-view the company's ever had, along with Lizzie Hale, which was an amazing experience for me. And it's just been a great relationship with WWE so far.
So wait, you were at WrestleMania in New Orleans. That was the end of the streak, right?
No, that was the streak ended in New Orleans a few years before. So
okay.
Yeah.
See, we always go down a wrestling geek hole.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's so funny. I'm silent, like don't have any idea what you guys are talking about. But it's actually I'm a pretty big wrestling fan. But I was an old school wrestling fan, so like in the 70s into the 80s, and then I kind of steered away from it in college just because I was like music 24/7. I'm super AEW, so it's like I'm always like trying to like proselytize. I'm Izzy over to the AEW, the dark side. I'm like, come to AEW, come to AEW.
I like AEW.
I've never it's interesting because I got back into it because a bunch of my friends just happened to be wrestlers, because through music I met a bunch of wrestlers, and I was like, well, I should keep up with what these guys are doing, Jericho in particular. So it was like I just started watching just to be able to see what the wrestlers are doing. And I have an interesting, it's funny with Rika, because I'll watch wrestling every week. I watch AEW every week. She will not watch it. And it's funny because she meets a lot of, what's that? I can't see. Oh, AEW. Nice. So it's funny because she knows a lot of the wrestlers because we hang out, but she never watches wrestling. Then she actually sees them in the ring and she can't watch it. She's just like, she can't connect in her head that the character in the ring is the same person that's just like all normal watching a show with us.
Oh, it's wild. It's crazy. So wild. So Josh and I are pretty close with Mick Foley, and one time Mick do an indie show that we were at, and he did a signing at the show to benefit a charity that I work really closely with called Wings of Rescue. And we were backstage, and all the wrestlers at this indie show were saying hi to Mick, and so it's such a sweet backstage thing, and a lot of it like old school WWE guys that had come back to the indies. And one of the wrestlers goes, "Hey, Mick, like, I know you're not here to work, but like, would you be willing to just sit in the front row and just like talk a little shit with me?" And Mick's like, "Man, like for you," and the promoters are freaking out. They're like, just, make sure that nobody touches Mick. Like, he's like, I'll talk whatever you want, just make sure that we don't actually, like, we can't throw hands, like. So there comes, the wrestlers are coming out. Josh and Mick and I are sitting in the front row together, and Mick is the absolute, just a doll of a person, a sweet teddy bear of a wonderful, kind human being. I just could never. That's the type of person I could never reconcile those two characters ever in my head.
Right.
And, the other wrestler comes up, who was MVP, was wrestling on the indie at the time. So he comes up and
wait, Dale Torborg MVP?
I don't know his real name, but it's MVP.
Okay.
Yeah. So he comes up and then he notices, quote unquote, Mick in the front row. He goes, "What are you doing here, old man? Like, hey, like, what are you?" And starts talking, and all of a sudden, Mick turned into Mick Foley, like my friend. All of a sudden, he stood up, and then he got in his face, and then they got in, and I was like, "Oh my god, my friend!"
Oh, it's amazing.
Was there a Sacco appearance? Did we see Sacco?
No, but it would be so cool if he did, though.
All of a sudden, Sacco comes out.
Could you imagine? But fun Sacco story, and then I'll stop bragging about how cool Mick Foley is. But Mick actually made me a Sacco. And that's what I used to, so when I'm recording guitar parts, you sometimes will put a sock or a piece of tape or a fret, a dampener or something to kill the noise in the strings when you're recording. And that's what I used on Controlled Chaos. My first album was all Sacco.
Sacco. Oh my God. So Sacco gets he gets a credit on the album.
Exactly. Guitarist by Nita Strauss, string muting by Mr. Sacco.
I've interviewed him a couple times, and he's just a super sweet guy. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've never met him, but I've talked to him a few times.
Yeah, definitely one of my dream interviews. Just saying.
Yeah. Just throwing that out there.
I know the guy. And that guy is always
a guy who knows a guy.
Go back to your solo stuff. I haven't seen the solo band live. Is there another guitar player, or are you the only guitar player?
Yeah, there are two. It's a full band. So it's myself, Josh playing drums, my best friend Kat, who you know from the cruise.
Yep, absolutely.
And then Johnny Young on guitar. Johnny's been, we've been in bands together, not actually ever in a band at the same time, but we filled in for each other's bands for like the past 10 years. And Johnny's a great, super tight player, super, very energetic performer. And then Dean on the bass, who's been my bass player for all my solo shows.
When you were putting that together, was there any thought of bringing Courtney in? Because I mean, obviously, you know, mutual friend, and you know, she's an amazing guitar player.
Oh yeah, of course. She was my first text. She didn't want to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, Courtney is always my first call, no matter what, like bar none. When I was putting a band together before I started doing the solo stuff, Courtney was my first call. I will say I didn't actually call her to play rhythm for me on the solo tours because honestly, I wouldn't insult her with that. Like, it would be kind of a slap in the face to a guitar player as great as she is to go like,
she's
hey,
amazing.
You want to come back me up in my own thing? But when I was putting a band together, Courtney was absolutely my first text. She heard the music before anybody else. It just wasn't what she was vibing at the time.
Do you miss the Maidens days playing with Courtney?
I do,
that whole thing?
Of course, you know, playing with your best friends, touring the world, playing Iron Maiden songs. It's a really fun, low stress, ezy gig, you know?
Yeah.
I miss it. Of course, I miss that part of it a lot. Yeah.
It's just got to be a completely different though, getting up playing covers versus playing like your solo stuff, something that you know, it's 100% yours. I mean, it's just a completely different vibe.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't have any emotional attachment to Iron Maiden songs, you know, aside from great Iron Maiden songs, you know, like don't let that be the headline. You know, Nita Strauss says, I hate Iron Maiden, you know, but like, but like, I don't have any sense of responsibility aside from making sure that I do the songs justice, you know, like I don't have any emotional investment, you know, in those songs, you know, and playing my songs, I feel so emotionally connected to every single one of them. You know, even the fun of like, you know, sometimes we'll do an Alice cover or a Maiden cover, or, you know, on this solo tour, we're opening up with the Power Rangers theme song, you know, something fun like that.
Yeah.
I still feel such a sense, like we kind of come back to that word responsibility of like, you know, people don't know what they're getting into. Most people that come to my shows are not instrumental guitar fans that would ordinarily go see a John Five or an Ingve or something. Like, you know, they don't know what they're getting themselves into coming to see my show. So like, I have that responsibility to my audience to give them the most fun instrumental show they've ever been to and are ever going to go to, you know, because they're used to Alice Cooper. They're used to, you know, regular active rock bands or whatever it is. So I have so much more of a sense of responsibility towards my solo stuff for that reason.
How does it feel like? How do you grow that attachment? Because you've obviously, I'm sure you look at Alice Cooper differently. I mean, you're a member of the band, but that's not your material. So is it how does that break down alongside the other stuff?
You know, I feel sort of that same sense of responsibility with Alice, even though I didn't write any of the songs, of course, because people that are going to see the Iron Maidens are going to see a bunch of girls play Iron Maiden songs. They're not, they're not actually, you know, with Alice, they're actually going to see Alice Cooper. You know, it's not a cover band. You know, even though you know none of the band members now were in the band when a lot of these songs were written. It's not a cover band. You know, they're going to see Alice. They want to see Alice Cooper songs the way that they want to hear them. You know, if I take the $1 Billion Baby solo and I just do my own thing on it and just add all my own notes and don't play anything close to what fans are expecting to hear, they're going to be so disappointed. You know, I want people to always leave an Alice Cooper show going, wow, that was the best Alice Cooper show I've ever seen. Not, oh my God, you know, those guitar players just really took a lot of liberties with those songs. Like, we want to do the songs justice. We want to make people happy when they hear them, take them back to their childhoods.
Yeah. So there's an effort then to make it as close to the original as possible and not give it your own feel.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some songs like 18 where there's not actually a solo in the original song. And in those classic songs, we do have completely free reign. We can do whatever we want. You know, if I want to do the most obnoxious shreddy solo, I totally could. No one's going to stop me. You know, but then you still have to, even if there's not an original solo there, you kind of still have to give it that respect and be like, all right, what still fits here? What makes sense in this song? You know, even though my playing style is nothing like what the original Alice Cooper band might have done if they were going to do a solo there, what's something that's me that can still fit, that won't be jarring to fans to hear?
Is it hard for you? Because we were talking to Richie Kotzen about this a couple of weeks ago when he was on with Adrian. Richie, as we all know, is I hail. I mean, he's a god. But he's like what I like to call controlled chaos. He can shred if he wants to, but he only like dabbles in it every once in a while. And there's a lot of feel in it. Is it hard for you to hold back on the shredding? Because we all know that, dude, you can wail.
You know, honestly, I don't really have to, because I'm so fortunate that Alice and Shep, his manager, and the people that hire me, they like what I do.
Yeah.
You know, so they let me have free reign so much in the set. You know, I have a 2-minute solo where it's literally just me on stage and no one else. I can do whatever I want. You know, we do so many Kane Roberts songs. We have so much opportunity for me to have fun and run around and be obnoxious and shred, that I don't have any issue with the restraint of just saying, yeah, $1 Billion Babies, play the solo that's on the record.
Right.
You know? Like,
well, no, I didn't mean like an issue, but I was just asking, is it hard for you to hold back?
No, not in the slightest.
Gotcha.
How's the interplay
in the whole rest, maybe, but I get so much time, you know, like I get so much time to be myself, you know, and I just don't have any problem with it.
And there's 3 guitarists in Alice's band, right?
There are 3, myself, Ryan Roxy, and Tom Henriksen.
Is that everybody just falls into their parts pretty comfortably, or?
Yeah, it's actually been crazy. You know, it's 8 years now that I've been in the band, and from the very beginning, we all just fell into our parts like that. It was just so seamless, like a puzzle piece. And 3 more different guitar players there are not. Like, let me get that right out of the way. Like, Ryan so different. You know, Ryan plays nothing like me. Tommy plays nothing like Ryan. Like, I don't play anything like either one of those guys. And we just work so well together. You know, everybody has their strengths. I wouldn't even say weaknesses, but just everybody has their stuff that they're great at, and we just fall naturally into that. You know, so when a new song gets thrown into the set, we all just kind of send a text like, hey, I figured I was going to do this and you do that, and I'll take that part. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. That's what I figured too. You know, it's so easy. You know, Tommy is such a solid rhythm player, such a solid songwriter. He writes a lot of the new Alice stuff, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh, wow.
And he really got that sort of more straightforward Ace Frehley kind of style just on lock. Ryan, to my mind, is the best guitar player in the band. You know, he's the most versatile. You know, you hear the 70s Alice stuff, the 60s, 70s Alice stuff, and you hear Ryan doing it, and it sounds identical. It sounds just exactly how it's supposed to sound. He's the one that steps in with Alice when he plays with the original Alice Cooper band. It's the original Alice Cooper band and Ryan. Like, that's how good he is doing it. And then you have me when it comes to the obnoxious 80s stuff, which, by the way, like, Ryan and Tommy are perfectly capable of playing. I just get to do it because it's in my lane, you know. So it's just, we all complement each other really well. We all make each other better. You know, I definitely think I've been a better guitar player since starting to play with those guys 8 years ago.
You elevate to the people around you, which is why you want to surround yourself with people like that. I mean, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I've become a lot more willing to wear a Speedo since doing this podcast with Izzy.
Right.
Well, all right. Well, that's it. You got to come on last then.
Oh, by the way, I was about to say that's a joke. I am not wearing a Speedo anytime.
But no, I know what you mean about the 3 guitar players. I mean, we just had a rehearsal for my Ace Frehley tribute, and we've added a 3rd guitar player now. And as the rhythm singer guy, it makes everything so much easier. Everybody thinks that, oh, that's just got to muddy it up and make it harder. It's like, no, it makes life so much easier.
So much easier. I mean, like, think about what a song sounds like with 2 guitars. Like, think about when you're listening to an album, you hear chords and then you hear a guitar harmony happening. You know, you hear a lead melody and a harmony of that melody. If you don't have somebody doing one of those 3 parts, it sounds empty. You know, Alice is so old school. We don't use any tape. We're not playing to a click track. There's no pre-recorded backing vocals or guitars or anything. So if we don't have all three of us there, it's going to sound empty. So it's, you know, right now we just have this beautifully built, very intricate wall of sound that just makes so much sense the way that we do it. And that's what kind of created this more modern Alice Cooper sound.
Right. Look, we bounce all over here. As you can tell, is like, this is just like conversation stuff. And there's something I always want to ask anybody about. And I know Paul always usually cringes when I start talking, but
talking in general.
Cringe free. I'm not going to cringe.
Talking in general. Eddie Van Halen, did you ever meet Eddie? Did you have any interaction with Eddie?
I didn't, unfortunately. I did never get to meet him. The only very tiny interaction I had, which doesn't even barely count, was that when he was starting to do his merch line, you know, like putting out the shoes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The same merch company that was doing my merch was doing his merch. And one time when I went to the office, they said that he had specifically asked that they give me this like care package of, you know, the shoes and whatnot, the pick tins and things. And said that he was a fan of my playing, and that, you know, when he found out that they worked with me, he wanted them to give me some stuff. So they gave me the shoes, like the little Chuck Taylors, you know, with the Eddie print, said, you know, we'll let you know when you can go ahead and post. And like, I had everything all ready to like post and thank him for it. And then he sadly passed away, and I never and then it felt weird to post like, hey, thanks for the shoes. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, so I never did. Sadly, it would have been a huge honor, obviously a huge influence for me, and all the guitar players that play the style of music that we love so much. And it was really cool on Shiprock to be a part of the Eddie tribute and get to play a song and honor Eddie.
That's right. What did you play?
Yeah.
We played Jump.
Okay.
Yeah. Super fun.
They kicked it off. So it was Nita's solo band did a half-hour show, and then they did Jump at the end. Her show went right into the Eddie Van Halen tribute, like directly into the Van Halen tribute.
Okay.
So it was very cool. Yeah.
That's a cool way to do it. That's a cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool. How you mentioned earlier that you have the Los Angeles Rams jersey in your suitcase. How did the national anthem? How'd that come about?
Bam.
Yeah, nice.
So I actually don't play the anthem at most of the games. I play throughout the whole game. Which a lot of people don't realize. I have played the anthem a handful of times when they don't have an anthem singer, but so I basically, my function with the Rams is essentially like what a DJ does at every football game.
Okay.
Baseball game, every game, every sport. Except so for the Rams, when the team moved to SoFi, I had already performed with them a couple times at the Coliseum. I played America the Beautiful at Salute to Service one year, and then the following year I came back and I played the Sunday Night Football theme, which is just I Hate Myself for Loving You by Joan Jett.
Right.
Football. And when the team moved to SoFi, they had this amazing new entertainment idea where they wanted to have something inclusive of all the different fans they have at the stadium. So they have, of course, the DJ Malski, who is amazing. He plays a lot of like kind of top 40 and hip hop, that kind of stuff. They have a mariachi band, Mariachi Rams, because obviously the Rams have a huge Latino fan base.
Yeah.
And the mariachis are huge hits. The coolest thing is a great band, great mariachi band. They have the whole crowd, you know, a stadium of 70,000 people singing along with them all the time. And then they got to cover the rock fans, and that's where I come in. So we play the team introduction. So every time the team comes in, I'm soloing over that track. We play every time the team scores a touchdown, every time we get the extra point or the field goal. Between downs, to distract the other team, we'll play Crazy Train or Iron Man, or
nice.
Just some like random fun metal riffs, or just solo over some hip hop beats that the DJ gives me, like just basically anything we can think of, and have some fun. And then of course, when the team wins, we got to do I Love LA, which is a great closer.
Which is ironic because that's one of the most anti-LA songs ever.
Is it?
Oh yeah, read the lyrics. It's supposed to be a sarcastic irony.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny because I sing those lyrics every game, and I'm like, yeah, I love LA. Look at these women, and nothing like them nowhere.
Yeah, it was written as a
I never realized that either.
Yeah, it was written as a fuck you to LA.
Really?
Wow.
Now I'm
now
like,
I'm gonna have to go
look
back
at
and
the mountains, look at these trees, and then he says, look at this homeless guy, he's down on his knees, which is accurate, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's more accurate today than it was when he wrote it. Yeah.
Very true. I don't know. I still am gonna call it my I love LA anthem.
I wasn't mocking it. I was just saying.
No, I know. Now I wish I was on my phone so I could look up those lyrics.
And
I know. I can tell you that the second we get off this, I'm going to be deep diving this, looking for like a Randy Newman interview where Randy Newman says it was sarcastic, because it's just interesting.
Well, I'm going to warn you. I'm not going to tell because I don't know if it's been announced what's going to happen on the cruise during the Super Bowl, but you may hear Izzy mocking the Rams over a microphone. That's all I'm going to say. So
I'm not coming to your party then. Listen, there is a very small chance, and I don't know how small it is, but I've been there for the team the entire last couple years, every game. And if the rumors are true and they really give Super Bowl rings to like everybody,
that means
like,
you get one. No, you will get one if they can actually beat the Bengals. We'll see.
You know what? It's going to be a great game, honestly.
No, it is. It is.
I'm a big Joe B fan. Like I have been since LSU, and I'm a huge fan of him as a quarterback. Team, no, not so much, but like I love Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an amazing game. I think my guys are going to take it, but I'm really, really excited to watch.
I'm anti-Rams, especially this year, because I'm pissed because I wanted to see Brady get number 8. Because
that's crazy talk. Oh my God.
No. Absolutely true. 100% true, brother.
So you're one of those
as a Packers
watch Tom Brady another Super Bowl.
Hey, we're never going to see it ever again. Oh, and as a Packers fan, I'm going to tell you this: you will never see Rodgers or Mahomes win another Super Bowl because of the wrath and the new curse of the original Jake from State Farm. Because they replaced him and put the new Jake in, and now those two are on the commercials, and the original Jake has cursed them for life. Nita, when can we expect? Go ahead.
I just have to say that the joke. I did see an interesting statistic about there's only been 2 quarterbacks in NFL history that have won a national championship and a Super Bowl.
Really?
And they were both named Joe, and now Joe can be the third one to do it. Yeah,
wow.
I will say that.
Is one of them Joe Namath?
One of them is Joe Namath, and I'm trying to remember. Joe Montana is the other. So it was literally Joe Namath and Joe Montana, and the third would be Joe Burrow. But we're a Matt Stafford house. So my wife's from Detroit, and I've always loved Matt Stafford, and I would just this is a Matt Stafford household.
Well, also, welcome to the curse of the Detroit Lions. But funny to wrap this.
Not Detroit Lion anymore.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Ironically that I just heard today, and this wraps it back to professional wrestling. Chief Wahoo McDaniel from the 70s and 80s played for the Jets, and while he was wrestling, he was such a big star. They traded him the year that they drafted Joe Namath because they only wanted 1 star on the team.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Right out of the words of Nature Boy. Woo! Nita, to wrap this up, when can we expect the full record?
It's going to be later on this year. All my guitar stuff is finished. We've got a couple things to tie up with different guest vocalists, and then of course mix and master, and we'll be off to the races. The next single is going to come probably in the next month.
Awesome.
Next month, awesome.
Paul, you got anything else?
No, I think we pretty much, just want to give a quick plug to. Nita and I did 2 little interviews on Shiprock, so head over to the Metal Edge site and check it out. We actually did not cross over on a lot of stuff. This was good. This was completely, a lot of this was very different, but definitely head over to Metal Edge and look in the next week or 2, we're going to see the Nita stories pop up there also. So there'll be more Nita more Nita on Metal Edge, and hopefully a lot
More
more to come.
Nita, it's my favorite. Thank
All
you,
right,
guys.
let me
Yes,
hit the outro
yeah.
music. Let me hit the outro music right here. And Paul, all I'm gonna say is that is why I am the uncensored, loose cannon of commentary. That is why we work so well together, because I talk about shit that you never would. Unscripted, uncensored, baby. That is the way
Hold
I
on,
roll.
let me say this. I never. The only thing you do that makes me cringe is your Sebastian Bach imitation. I don't cringe when you talk.
it. Dude, I didn't even do it this time. Dude, can we just talk about Kiss?
The only thing that makes me
that
cringe.
yours?
The
Is
only
that-
thing that
Is
makes
that
me cringe.
Bob or is that Jericho's?
No, that's mine. It was from listening to his audiobook driving across the country when there was no internet.
Ah.
I am the king of taking things off topic and talking about stuff that has. I have no problem with that whatsoever. No,
I know.
and I might cringe it. And if I ever have to see you in a mankini, you know what? I'll cringe at that too.
Just another reason to not go to Izzy's Super Bowl party in vote.
I didn't say I was having a Super Bowl party. I'm just saying at some point you may hear me mocking the Rams over a microphone. That is all I'm going to say. Nita, people want to find your social media, your website, and all this stuff.
He's a
Please give it to them right
Vikings
now.
fan. He's a Vikings fan. The only joy he has is ripping on other teams. I mean,
Exactly.
that's pretty much it.
And if you grew up a Minnesota sports fan, you would exactly know what I am talking about. Nita, website, socials, where can people find you?
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky growing up an LA sports fan with the Lakers and the Dodgers and now the Rams.
And where did the Lakers come from? Minneapolis.
I am at Hurricane Nita on all the things. If you want to see more behind the scenes stuff from me, you can follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/Hurricane Nita. I've got a ton of tour dates coming up. Please do follow along. I'd love to see you guys at some shows to say hi.
Awesome. Paulie.
Awesome.
MetalEdgeMag.com.
Well, me, it's
Yeah.
go.
MetalEdgeMag.com. Instagram is Metal Edge Magazine. Twitter is Metal Edge 85. And of course, you can,
Yes.
and of course, you can find him, Paul Gargano. Make sure you guys subscribe on the YouTube page that you are watching right now. If you guys want to listen to the show live when we are live, Spreaker.com/user/Izzy Presley. Find me at Real Izzy Presley, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the way across the board. Also on Venmo. Just throwing that out there. Kidding, obviously. We will see you guys next week. Or yeah, probably next Tuesday night, because I get back on Tuesday morning. On behalf of Paul Gargano, Nita Strauss, all tap.